As a follow-up to Sonic Advance 2, Advance 3 definitely feels like the biggest one yet. Released another year later in June of 2004, Advance 3 from the jump just feels like a step up in presentation from the second game, with Sonic and Tails running into the horizon with the fire dramatic music added in as well. Hell, every game before this point had pretty basic title and main menu screens that of course works fine, but would immediately boot you into the character select screen. Advance 3 does the same thing, but the menu itself is a lot more stylish with the spinning menu options, the Chow to the left, and the remix of the Chow race menu theme from Adventure 2. Since we're on the topic actually, I may as well briefly mention the Tiny Chow Garden since I didn't go over it in the first two Advance videos. The Tiny Chow Garden has now been briefly mentioned. But seriously, I never engaged with this. It doesn't have anywhere near the amount of depth as the Adventure counterpart does, and is nothing more than a Tamagotchi time waster now. Granted, of course it is on the GBA, so of course it's not going to be as in-depth as the console counterpart, but I just wanted to bring it up to say that I at least acknowledged it. And in Advance 2's case, you need to engage with that Emerald Hunt to even unlock the feature, so yeah, no, not doing that. Advance 3 doesn't have a Tiny Chow Garden. They actually use the Chow for something different that I'll get into later. But for now, let's jump into the game's story, because there's actually a little bit here this time. But stop me if this sounds familiar. Sonic and Tails are on their way to stop Eggman's latest scheme, but arrive too late, and Eggman, after getting a hold of one of the Chaos Emeralds, evokes Chaos Control and proceeds to split the planet into 7 distinct zones, wanting to conquer all 7. Kinda similar to what he does later in Sonic Unleashed, though there he uses the 7 emeralds off of Super Sonic to power a cannon to awaken Dark Gaia, and putting the planet back together with the dead emeralds required use of the Gaia temples in real-world inspired locations. In this game, the 7 zones are all very wacky and not corresponding to continents on the Earth. And in the end, the Master Emerald restores the planet back to normal after you defeat Eggman, which makes me wonder if something similar could have happened in Unleashed if Sonic had asked Knuckles, considering this happened before. But then they would have still needed to go to the temples anyway to restore the Chaos Emeralds, so I suppose it would have necessitated the global adventure regardless. Either way, this event gives us 7 zones to run through and to defeat Eggman in. But Advance 3 isn't stage to stage like the first two games. This game gives each zone a hub world that houses the 3 acts and a boss that must be cleared in order to move on to the next zone. But the 3 acts you can clear in any order. For me at least, I always just go from Act 1 to 2 to 3, but every once in a while, when I'm feeling a little different, I'll jump into 2 or 3 first, but it truly doesn't matter. There's also minigames scattered around the hub worlds that you can play to score some extra lives, but I barely interact with these because I feel like the normal levels give you plenty on their own, but they're there if you need them. One of them sees you clicking switches on a capsule to open it, and the faster you do it, the more lives you get. And the other one puts you in a map and you have to find all the enemies before the timer runs out. The faster you do that one, the more lives you get, of course. That's all fine and dandy, but before talking about the main levels, we should go over the main gimmick of Advance 3. This game works directly off of Advance 2, with it having the boost system and the accompanying R commands, which I hear some people call it the trick system, so for the rest of this video, we'll just go with that instead. The game is still really fast like 2, and they even increase the acceleration so you can get to the top speed faster. But now, the shining gameplay addition is the fact that you choose characters in pairs starting with Sonic and Tails, and what makes it different from any other Sonic game that does this is that each pair has a unique ability that you can access if you hold down the R button to hold the partner character in your hands, and upon releasing the button on the ground or in the air, you can perform a unique character action. And the actions change too if you reverse the characters. So Sonic and Tails have a unique ability where Sonic will vault over Tails, giving you a really high jump, great for exploring, or if you do it in the air, Tails will carry Sonic like in the Genesis games. But flip it to Tails and Sonic and you get even more unique abilities, like the ability for Tails to get a burst of speed on the ground or in the air when holding Sonic. It's a really fucking cool system that, again, I'm shocked has not made a reappearance. And there's a lot of character combinations to play around with, as every character from the previous games are playable, but you gotta unlock them as you run through the zones, which kinda sucks. Because it would be cool if everyone was available from the start like in Advance 1. Especially in a game where the gameplay is more fun the more characters you have to play with. I'm personally fond of pairing Sonic and Cream, but you don't get this until the second to last zone in the game. Sometimes when pairing characters, it's not only the tag action that changes, but also some of your base moveset itself. Sonic gets a cool air dash with Cream that's sick as hell to play around with, and the tag action with Cream herself sees cheats becoming controllable by Sonic so you can use them like you would in Advance 2 for a short time. I also like Amy and Sonic because Amy gains the ability to curl into a ball when she jumps while retaining her normal moveset so you can enjoy the benefits of both worlds. But one flaw of the system is kind of the same issue I have with Advance 2's trick system, where not all of them are built equal. Some pairings are mediocre and or change the character's traits for the worse, like in Tails and Knuckles' case. All you get for a tag action is the ability to toss Knuckles, which is only useful for destroying particularly tough walls, and if you try to fly as Tails you glide instead and lose altitude quickly, which I'm not a fan of. Amy gets this massive fuck you hammer with Knuckles, but it's so slow that you'll likely get hit before you even fully swing the thing, and Sonic and Knuckles is just an underwhelming pair. Sonic's moves get powered up, which is nice, but your speed is reduced and you're stuck with throwing Knuckles as a tag action, or riding on his back for an air glide, but he won't even climb walls with you. He drops you immediately upon contact with the wall, which is lame. Honestly, poor Knuckles, the dude gets the short end of the stick with his team-ups. It's so sad. But the fun partners are really fun, and the levels are crafted with the intent for you to experiment with team combinations so you can explore every inch of them or figure out what team blitzes through the fastest. Every level is generally fun to play with just regular Sonic and Tails though, and it doesn't take long to unlock new characters. But just like last time, let's run through the zone lineup. Route 99 is an interesting first zone, as it's the only first zone in a 2D Sonic game I can think of that doesn't start off in a grassy area. We in the city with this one, but right off the bat, the zone lets you know that the cheap tricks and gotcha moments are still here in Advance 3. Debatable if it's worse or better than Advance 2. I kinda flip-flop between that. I don't know, it feels like in this game some levels have the dickish gotcha stuff more than others, where some zones like this one is noticeable, but in other zones, as you'll see in a second, it's like non-existent, or at least in comparison to what's come before in the series. But here in Route 99 you get a great sense of speed and decent platforming, but that speed will send you straight into spikes or crushing platforms if you didn't already know they were there. But despite that, I can get enjoyment from Route 99, and the music is top-notch shit. Oddly enough, the second zone is a spin on Green Hill, with Sunset Hill, and I think this is my favorite take on Green Hill. Like, period. I don't know, the Sunset vibe always did it for me. The level flows together pretty well, with this zone being one of the ones that have minimal traps I call bullshit on. And the music, oh my god, this is easily the best lineup of Green Hill remixes. The GVA's crunchiness only adds to my enjoyment of the tracks. It's actually insane how good it is. I just love the vibes of the zone, and the gimmicks with the returning poles from Egg Utopia, the ramp launching things, it's all great stuff. You unlock Knuckles here after fighting this robot in Act 3. This guy's name is Gemerald, and he's a lingering plot thread from another GBA Sonic game that came out the same year as Advance 3 called Sonic Battle. I alluded to me throwing a fourth game in during my look back at these games, and yeah, Sonic Battle is that game. There's a whole story behind Gemerald that I just couldn't bring myself to skip. I'll go more in depth about this guy and his story then, but for now, all you need to know is that Gemerald is built by Eggman, basing him off of another robot from Sonic Battle named Emerald, and these two in this game employ wacky ass contraptions using Gemerald as a power source. Right before you unlock a character in this game, you usually have to fight Gemerald first at the end of an Act 3 that has him, and he gets stronger as the game continues, but he's never too much of an issue. But moving on to Ocean Base, this zone is sick. An underwater base with more kick-ass music and really slopey level design, and water that's not too much of a hassle to deal with. I used to not like this zone, but after learning to level more over the years, it's gotten up to be one of my favorites honestly. And did I mention that the music is good? It's really fucking good. The only downside of this level though is these fucking waterfalls. It's just too slow. It's just too fucking slow. It reminds me of the goddamn sand pillars in Sandopolis. But the zone next up on the list, I'm not too crazy about Toy Kingdom. And it's not because there's gotchas throughout the level, I just don't care too much for the level design. But I can't really put my finger on why. I mean, it's a really cool zone conceptually, and of course the music's good, but the level itself, it's alright. Maybe it's because I'm not big on the stopping to navigate these pendulums or jumping off of these spinning hooks. The rockets are dope, I like those, and the Jack-in-the-Box springs are a neat challenge, but I just don't get amped to run through this zone, I fear. You unlock Amy here though, and then play through the weirdest Eggman boss I've ever seen. The bosses up until this point have been fine, not my favorites in the series or nothing, but they're all distinctive and can be torn apart quickly while putting up good resistance. But this one is just weird. Eggman is in a box that you need to simply push off the ledge on the other end of the arena. And I just wonder, what was his thought process on this? Like, why did he set himself up to fail? Why did he choose to fight us here, where he can easily be pushed off and have his otherwise indestructible mech be doomed to fail? I don't know, it's just something I noticed. The fight itself is easy, just keep hitting him and all of his attacks are telegraphed so you can easily get out of the way. But we come to my favorite zone in the game, Twinkle Motherfucking Snow. This zone is absolutely amazing. It's set in the Arctic, there's an Aurora Borealis in the background, it's fast, it's fun, it's not too cheap, and every act is fire. Running through with Amy and Sonic or vice versa is peak, I swear. And oh my god, the music hits so hard! It's just an awesome zone that's designed very well, easily my favorite in the game. The boss though can be a little frustrating. Eggman is sliding around at the bottom of the screen and you're supposed to jump up the platforms while timing your jump so the platforms fall on top of Eggman. And that's not super difficult, but the punishment for getting hit is basically immediate death because the bottom of the screen becomes a bottomless pit. So if you're not careful and you're unfamiliar with Eggman's patterns, this can easily get very annoying. A lives drainer as they call it. Which, speaking of, Cybertrack. This zone is kind of annoying. There's a shit ton of gotcha enemy placement and traps that oftentimes bump you into bottomless pits, and there's times where you're on moving platforms and have to jump between them to avoid falling into pits. With the game's increase in acceleration on the ground and in the air, this can be nerve-wracking as shit. And I won't lie, the white background just doesn't do it for me. I much prefer to look at the cyber level in the previous game, or later in Shadow the Hedgehog. No matter what pair I go with, these levels test my patience, and one quirk of unlocking characters is that you need to be playing as Sonic as the lead character, otherwise you won't get the cutscene unlocking new characters, which means even if the stage has a lot of bottomless pits, where someone like Tails would be better suited for the challenge, you gotta tough it out as Sonic if you want to unlock the character. And I want Cream, so Cybertrack Act 3 I will deal with. But fuck am I mad about it. And this boss fucking sucks. You gotta hit the blue balls he shoots out to turn them red, while also hitting them at an angle that will hit Eggman, and this fight will either take 12 seconds or 12 minutes, and the final hit is aggravating because he's just constantly shooting balls everywhere, so you're hoping you just get lucky. Trash boss fight. But alas, we arrive at Chaos Angel. I like this place. Whenever you're outdoors, there's a lot of bottomless pits and tough as nails platforming, but indoors it's a fun level with a cool ancient aesthetic I can fuck with. The boss fight isn't too bad either, but I wish they made an actual level for Act 3. I'm sorry, I never liked when platforms of any kind makes a level that's just a single large floating platform in a void with obstacles. Don't care for it in Rayman, I find it boring in New Super Mario Bros, and I especially don't like it here in a Sonic game. It's just so lame, especially when the aesthetics of the level are so good. I feel it's wasted on a concept like this. But besides that, Chaos Angel is pretty cool for a final zone, and it also houses the final boss. No extra zone for the final boss like X Zone, it's just placed within the hub world of Chaos Angel. And this fight is pretty easy if you use the Sonic and Knuckles combination. You can just hold up and the B button to do an upwards fire dash thing that just tears this boss apart in seconds. This is about the only good thing this combination is useful for. Well, besides another thing that I'll get into in a second. But this is something I always do, because the normal way where you use the hands as platforms to hit him while he's also taking out the footholds can easily end in tragedy, like the Twinkle Snow boss. But after he's defeated, the Master Remote restores his own, like I said, and the gang takes off on their next adventure. That is, of course, unless you got the Chaos Emeralds. Ah, yes. So how does Sonic Advance 3 handle emerald hunting? We had Springs in Advance 1 and Demonic Rings in Advance 2. What does 3 do? Well, Advance 3 sees you collecting Chow. And while there are 9 of them in each zone, they're spread out between each act, and once you collect one, you have it forever. There is no collecting them all in one go, you just need to have all of them in general, and then you collect the special stage key that randomly spawns in the stage. Fortunately in areas that you're basically guaranteed to pass, so it's hard not to find the key. You then take you to the special stage spring in the hub world, and then you get an attempt at the special stage. If you fail the special stage, then you gotta go back into a random act and collect one key. I actually don't really mind the way emeralds are handled here. Even if you're not using a guide, for sure if you poke around you will find the Chow eventually, and you only need to find them once. It also incentivizes you to use the team-ups more suited for exploration, but some Chow are placed behind walls only power characters can break, meaning if you came in with the wrong team you gotta back out, walk all the way to the big ring to get the character switcher, and then change teams and go back, which can be kind of annoying. But within the big ring is a whole section where you can directly check how many Chow you have and what acts you're missing Chow from, so you always know where to look. And once you have all of them and get the key, the special stage is pretty fun. You're on top of the tornado and you're flying through the special stage dimension collecting rings, and you can jump around and destroy enemies for ring bonuses. And when you touch these orbs, you speed up and get a 2x ring multiplier. These special stages are a lot more thought out than Advance 2's, and I appreciate it for that. They're the right kind of challenge too. It's not bullshit, there's a clear pattern and you just need to learn it, which I like. But after collecting all the emeralds, you unlock the true final boss, where Jimbo betrays Eggman and takes the emeralds for himself, transforming into a super robot, and Sonic turns into Super Sonic, and with the help of Eggman, you team up to stop him. This fight is stupid easy. All you do is hold the tag action button to charge up Eggman to throw him at Jimbo to reveal its weak spot, and then dash into said weak spot as Sonic until he dies. In which, after he's defeated, the ending plays out basically the same, although Jimbo is later found broken by Cream, who then takes him to Tails' workshop where he reprograms him to be a good robot, whose due role is to protect Cream and Vanilla and live in their house. which I think is kinda sweet. This ending has more weight if you play it and know the story of Sonic Battle, which I'll get into in the next video, but on its own, this ending is still fun. I mean, Cream now has an ass-kicking robot by her side, like that's just sick. Sonic Advance 3 definitely feels like it's trying to be the biggest game out of the Advance Trilogy yet. It still has the speed, it has the most expansive levels yet, it has the most character combinations yet, and definitely it has the deepest mechanics out of all of them. And after getting through it for this video and getting the Chaos Emeralds for the first time, yeah, it definitely succeeds at using its mechanics to make really interesting levels. It does a lot of things right, and while there are some parts that annoy me, like some of the bosses and of course that gacha level design that rears its ugly head at times, or the fact that some of the team-ups are underwhelming, the team-up gimmick itself with the level design is still fun to play around with, especially with the good pairings, and is another idea that Sonic Team had that they should have built on but just haven't since this game. They even improve other aspects of the game, like the fact you can jump on the middle of rails now, eliminating the need to aim for the beginning of them, which helps keep up the pace of the game. The animations of the characters are at their best and the most expressive they've ever been in the Advance Trilogy, and they even added a pseudo-rank system that incentivizes you to clear the stages as fast as possible with the medal system, where you're rewarded a bronze, silver, or gold medal depending on how fast you clear the act. Honestly, if someone said this one was their favorite, I could easily see it. There's definitely reasons to put this game over Advance 2, but after this playthrough, I think I can comfortably say I like 2 and 3 about the same. Maybe 2 a little bit more than Advance 3, but it's still a good time. Same amount of enjoyment from both, but for different reasons. If I can tell that if someone put me on the spot and asked me which one I like more in the moment, it would just depend on the day. With that being said, the next video will be on the missing piece of this series, that being Sonic Battle. And then after that, we'll be going into Sonic Rush. But before that, we got a lot of combat to do, so look forward to that. That video should come out soon. Anyways, as always, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. Stay safe, and peace.